Hello and welcome to the first part of a series of Grand Theft Auto ROCKSTAR Editor tutorials. In today's video, we'll take a look at the tools available in ROCKSTAR Editor. I'll walk you through what each one does and hopefully give you a better understanding of how it works so you can start exploring and creating with confidence. I hope this video inspires you to give it a go and start showcasing your collections or creations. Let's get into it. The ROCKSTAR Editor is a bit of a unique application. It has some great features and can produce some awesome videos. Whether you're showcasing a car collection or race circuit, I'm going to try my best to explain how I use it to produce the cinematics you can see on this channel. If you have been following the Benny's Motorsports channel for a while, you will know that I make car cinematics with music. But regardless of the content you want to make, knowing what tools you have available and what they do should be enough help to get you started on making your own. Planning a cinematic. It sounds like such a ball ache, but it's so important to plan your cinematic. There's nothing worse than going in and out of the game's loading screens to capture scenes that you have forgotten. It's something I really struggled with at first, but it's something I make sure I do now before any project, and it makes the whole process way more fluid and enjoyable. Write down bullet points or draw a spidergram. Get all the ideas out of your brain and put somewhere you can later get all of your creative thoughts in order. You can add to it if you get any ideas after your initial plan. Make a note of locations or vehicles you want to use in game. Give your creation some structure. Once you have an idea of what sort of video you want to make, decide on the style. My videos are heavily based on the music track, so I can spend up to a week finding the right piece of music to set the right mood or tempo. So take your time. There's no right or wrong. This is your creation. We want to make a set for your cinematic, and for this you have a couple of alternatives. May I also add, if you want to skip to the next chapter, by all means use the timestamps in the description below. For set design, we can use director mode, which is accessible from story mode with your online character. This has its own scene creator, similar but not as good as the job creator for online, in my opinion. I generally use the online job creator for building my sets. With this, as you can see on screen now, it allows you to add units, which are race crowds or additional vehicles. For me, it means I can have 2 personal vehicles in the scene and some non-playable characters to help the world feel alive. It's also much easier to pick up and place props for scenery. I can do another video on the job creator, but for now I will link some videos in the description. Capturing your footage. Jump into the game and load up a job if that's what you're using. Once you're in and the race has started, you can treat this job as your set. When I have my character where I want him, I hold down on the D-pad until the option pops up in the bottom left. Then tap the X button. After a couple of seconds, you will see a box appear notifying you that you are recording. Now, the ROCKSTAR Editor only allows you to capture small clips at a time. You can do them back to back, but the length of the clip completely depends on what's going on into the scene. The more you have going on, the less each clip captures. I have had some as short as 12 seconds long and some as long as 2 minutes. Once you are done capturing all of your footage, follow the on-screen instructions to save your recording and quit out to story mode. Here you can access the ROCKSTAR Editor. The better you have planned your cinematic, the less time spent jumping between the two. I like to go online and capture all my footage all at once so that I can edit everything without going back and forth. The ROCKSTAR Editor menu. When you load into the editor, you'll be met with this menu. It is kind of self-explanatory. At the top, we have Add Clip. This is a menu containing all your saved captures. It gives you the option to view them by date, name, etc. The next 3 options, Add Ambient Track, Radio Track, and Add Score Track. These give you the option to load up in-game music and soundtracks, which is great for making videos suitable for ROCKSTAR Social Club. But the music will be copyrighted, so you will not be able to use on YouTube or other platforms unless you hold the correct license. left, you also have an option to add text, save your file and export or render the video. This option is for when you have completed your project and want to turn all your clips into one video file. Let's start with adding a clip to our timeline. This is your videos timeline. Notice each clip is a different size. The size indicates the length of the clip. When you add a clip, this is where it will be placed. You can flick between your clips using R1 and L1 and order them appropriately. When you enter into clip to edit it, you will notice you get another smaller timeline. This timeline is measured in the top right-hand corner of your screen. You have the option to move the start position of your clip by holding either L1 or R1 and using the analog sticks. Remember, this is a recording of the gameplay saved. You cannot move or adjust the characters or props, but do have access to the camera view. Once we have established our first marker, we will then be able to place more at different points of the timeline. This means you can have different shots at different points of the clip with different settings. Let's take a look at the menu and the first tab, which is camera type. Here you can cycle through different preset camera angles. Free camera allows you to move the camera within a small confined area around your character. You also have some preset angles, but they are fixed camera angles that you cannot edit. These do have their advantages, but it depends on what you've planned. The only camera type that allows you complete freedom and access to all the tools is the free camera. The first tool it gives us is the Look at Target tab. This allows you to lock your camera onto either your character, other players or NPCs, non-playable characters, and even animals within the close area to your character. Notice how the camera stays in the position that I placed it, but moves to follow my character. Now watch what happens when I select another character to look at. The camera is fixed on them whilst my character walks off screen. The next option allows you to fix the camera to your character or characters within that same area. If I set it to my character, the camera will remain fixed on him. It will go where he goes. What if we want the camera to move with my character whilst looking at someone else? We set the Look at Target to one of the other characters, but leave the Move with Target tab set to the target we want to move with. The camera now moves with your character but stays fixed looking at the other player. Blend mode we will talk about in a minute when we have more than one shot set up. It sets up the transition between the shots and we only have one at the moment. Camera shake. This option is great for giving extra impact to your videos. For example, I like to add a shaking effect to the camera as a car drives by. It's again quite self-explanatory and depends on the style or effect you are going for in that particular clip. You can adjust the type of effect and intensity of the effect accordingly. This filter will be applied to that whole clip until you place another marker on the timeline. The last option is Edit Camera. This is your camera placement. Using the controls indicated in the bottom right of your screen, you can move the camera to where you like. There are restraints to this, but for now you just want to get used to the controls and how they function. The controls for this tab are different when you have different settings applied, so keep an eye on those as they also take a while to get used to. For now, all we need to know is what each tab does. From this new camera position, you can play your scene from a totally new perspective. It again comes down to what sort of cinematic you are making and what you are trying to showcase. It will depend on the style of your video as to how you set your shots up. If we back out of the camera menu, you then are faced with a few more settings. Let's start at the bottom, as this option is only available on the first and last tabs on your timeline. It just fades your clip in from black or into black. Keep in mind though that this will obviously mean about a second of your clip will be used up fading in and out of black. Me personally, I save all these sorts of tasks to do in the secondary edit. Set the thumbnail tab is going to save your current screen as the picture representing this clip on the main timeline. And this position tab helps you dial in a precise point on this clip's timeline. I tend to just use the analog sticks and fine tune, using the R1 and L1 with the D-pad and analog sticks. I'm going to take you back up the top to the depth of field tab. This is your camera's focus. It gives you multiple options, but will normally be set to default. You can change the intensity of the blurred area. I will set it to 100% for the purpose of this one video. You can see the default settings isn't bad if you've got a lot going on in the scene. You can see how it can help highlight the bits you want whilst still having everything going on in the background or foreground. As well as the default setting, you also have the custom settings. You'll notice that this option has given us an extra tab at the bottom labeled mode if you have a fixed point of focus or want something in particular with in-shot to be in focus, then you have the manual mode. This is limited though and quite time consuming to get right, especially if you are doing multiple shots. One of my favourite is target. This keeps the focus on whatever character you chose within shot, whilst keeping the camera fixed on something else. Automatic does a pretty good job of automatically focusing on whatever is going on in the center of your shot. This is great, especially if your focal point is something or someone coming into shot that you want the audience to focus on more than the background. For now, I will leave it on 60% intensity and set it on player. We also have a set of on-screen lens filters that are absolutely awesome, especially for transitions or special effects. I would definitely recommend jumping on Creator and just messing about with the controls and understanding the tools. Keep referring back to your notes. Which of these tools will give you the effect you're after? The speed of the footage can also be adjusted to be slower or faster. This can be changed at different points throughout your edit. Audio, there's not much you can do with it unless you're wanting to remove background sounds or dialogue from your recording, unless you specifically want to capture the exhaust sound of a car or mute the in-game phone ringing during the capture. I edit a lot of the sound out in Share Factory afterwards. Now that we have a basic understanding for the menu, we want to add some more shots to our timeline. I don't want the camera to remain static for the duration of the clip. I want it to pan and get the two race cars into the shot. So I'm going to quickly set my first marker up. I'm going to set the first shot to 50% speed, the depth of field to focus on target, and establish my first shot. Using the R1 button and analog sticks, you can find a specific point on the timeline. You may have recorded a 30-second clip but only want the middle 10 seconds. Or alternatively, what I tend to do is leave the start point where it is and work on the area on the timeline that I want. This leaves you with some spare footage either side of the clip, which may help you when editing the footage on Share Factory or other editing programs afterwards. Go ahead and place your second shot anywhere on the timeline. And using the timestamp in the top right, you can time each shot to exactly where you want it. I'm going to duplicate my opening shot so that I have my 2-second buffer. Then at 12 seconds, I will place my second shot. This means that my opening shot will be 10 seconds long and then will flick to my second shot. I will more than likely trim the first 2 seconds. What if we want to use that 10 seconds to see the camera travel from shot A to shot B? This next tool probably needs a standalone feature film to completely understand it. It's definitely got a few quirks. and they differ depending on what sort of shot you're going for. The blend mode tab gives you a couple of options to transition from one shot to another, linear and smooth. The best way I can explain this is that linear sets the transition to travel precisely from shot to shot, using the time in between to set the speed that the camera travels from shot to shot. Smooth blend mode tends to find an average speed to smooth out your entire clip, which is great if you don't have a fixed subject, but as I will explain in another video, it can create issues when capturing a moving target. You also have the option to switch blend easing off. To understand this, you need to understand the blend modes, so I think we will come back to that in a more advanced video. Once you have played about with the transitions of your clip, I would recommend having a play with all the tools we have already been over. Figure out how they will work for your project. You can set up multiple shots on your timeline, set each marker to do something different, play about with the settings. It's like everything, the more you play about with it, the better you will get and the better the results will be. I haven't gone into depth in this video because at this point I just wanted to go over what I have learnt about the tools available. And obviously there are techniques to using all of these. The editor has a lot of issues that I have had to find workarounds for, and I am happy to go into them in future videos, but by all means, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask in the comments. Alright, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it helped, and if you're still figuring things out, then that's totally okay. Just keep going. You're doing great. Take care, keep learning, and most importantly, look after yourself. I'll see you in the next one.